Welcome to the Foundations of the IEP Training Series. This recording is part of a series of videos on IEP compliance. Special education is specially designed instruction, support, and services provided to students with an identified disability requiring an individually designed instruction program to meet their unique learning needs. The purpose of special education is to enable students to successfully develop to their fullest potential by providing a free, appropriate public education in compliance with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Decisions regarding the type of special education services to be provided and the educational placement for the provision of such services is based upon the student's present levels of performance and the IEP team. Students with disabilities are educated in the least restrictive environment that is most appropriate for them. A variety of special education services are available, beginning with full participation in the general education classroom to the extent possible, often with the provision of supplementary aids and supports. Services are provided in the least restrictive environment for each student and may include consultation provided by special educators to the general education teacher, collaborative instruction in the general education classroom through co-teaching by the general and special education teachers, and instruction in the special education classroom for part of or all of the day. Each school in the South Carolina Public Charter School District is expected and needs to be prepared to provide a full continuum of services and serve any student who comes to their door. Here is a screenshot from Enrich that shows the section of the IEP that we are discussing. Service statements are what the LEA will do to help the student meet his or her goals. After the present levels and goals are determined, the IEP team determines what services are needed. That is what the school is going to do so the student can reach their goals. IDEA requires that the IEP be complete before services and placement decisions are made so that the student's educational needs drive the IEP development process. Schools may not develop an IEP to fit a pre-existing program or for a particular classification of disability. The IEP is written to fit the student. The services and placement are chosen to fit the present levels and goals. IDEA requires state and local education agencies to educate students with disabilities with their non-disabled peers to the maximum extent appropriate. Service statements answer the question: what will the school do in response to the student's needs? The school will use special education services, related services, and supplementary services such as program modifications or modifications to the content of the program with lowered success criteria for academic success. They can decrease alternative state assessments such as off-grade level assessments, or even special factors like assistive technology or classroom aids to meet the student's needs. In the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, Congress has made a number of important changes to the IEP process and documents. Perhaps the most important and significant of the changes is the requirement that special education services must be based on peer-reviewed research. Specifically, that the IEP include a statement of the special education and related services and supplementary aids and services based on peer-reviewed research to the extent practicable to be provided to the child. By requiring special education programs to be based on peer-reviewed research, Congress sought to bring the IDEA into alignment with No Child Left Behind and its demonstrated to be effective by scientifically based research. Although the IDA does not define peer-reviewed research, No Child Left Behind does. According to No Child Left Behind, instructional interventions are based on scientific research and must meet the following 6 criteria. 1. Studies that have been done with the instructional intervention have been used systematic empirical methods based on observation and experiments. 2. Researchers have collected and analyzed data, test, and instructional intervention. 3. The research has been conducted on the instructional intervention have used measurements and observations that provide reliable and valid data from independent observers. 4. The research that has been conducted on the instructional intervention has been used either in experimental or quasi-experimental designs. 5. The experimental studies have been reported in full detail so that others could replicate the study. And finally, 6. The instructional interventions have been published in peer-reviewed journals. What does this new requirement mean for teachers of students with disabilities? To be in compliance with this requirement, teachers should take the following actions. First and foremost, use academic and behavioral interventions that have support in the research literature. This means that we shouldn't use an intervention because we have always used it, or because it sounds good or feels right, or because a colleague told us about it. Rather, we should use interventions and curriculum that empirical research has proven to be successful in teaching behavioral and academic skills to students with disabilities. The school must be sure that the services they are providing are backed by peer-reviewed research. Elements of services include that they need to be clearly specified, address all the needs in the present levels, and are based on peer-reviewed research. Here is a service statements checklist to ensure that the team has made all of the appropriate considerations. Are the service statements clearly based on the student's needs as described in the present level statements? Do the service statements clearly describe what the school will do in response to the student's unique educational needs? Do the service statements include the anticipated amount of services, the frequency, location, and duration of these services? Are the services that are in the student's IEP based on peer-reviewed research? Were services that could allow the student to be involved in and progress in the general education curriculum considered by the IEP team? Supplementary services are aids and services and supports that can be provided in general education, in education-related settings, and in extracurricular and non-academic settings, and might include parent training, providing the student with a one-on-one assistant, or providing staff with professional development to assist in meeting the unique needs of the student. Related services are supportive services provided to the students with disabilities to assist them in benefiting from special education, like the need for special education determined on an individual basis as part of the IEP process, connected to other parts of the IEP to include functional strengths and needs and present levels, and they're accompanied by measurable annual goals that are denoted in this section of the IEP under goals and objectives. Examples include audiology, counseling services, early identification and assessment of disabilities with children, interpreting services, medical services, occupational therapy, mobility and orientation services, parent counseling and training, physical therapy, psychological services, recreation, school health services and school nurse services, social work services in schools, speech-language pathology, and transportation. This concludes the services portion of the foundation of the IEP training series. For more information on IEP and IEP compliance, please see our trainings on meeting notices, present levels, findings, annual goals, progress monitoring, transition, and prior written notice. This is not meant to be an all-inclusive training on services. We hope that we have provided you with enough information to begin writing IEPs in the South Carolina Public Charter School District.